Hello, and welcome to the Radical Fabulatorium. Okay, on today's episode, I am speaking with Tom Green. Tom's out east on a tour, performing his stand-up comedy mixed with some music, and he's going to be hitting St. John, New Brunswick on Saturday, March 28th at the beautiful Imperial Theatre, so make sure you snag tickets to that. I caught up with Tom as he was driving from Glace Bay, Cape Breton, down to Halifax. So, there's a couple moments of connectivity issues, but just bear with it. It only lasts a second or two. But yeah, we talk about his tour, of course, his newfound farm life up in rural Ontario. And he's got a brand new series coming out on Crave as well, which we touch on. So that's pretty exciting. All right, here we go. My chat with Tom. Enjoy.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you, Tom?
Very good, very good. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for giving me some of your time. Yeah, you'll be here in St. John on Saturday, March 28th. Pretty stoked. The beautiful Imperial Theatre.
Absolutely. I was there a year and a half ago. I liked it so much. I'm coming back.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was at that show. I remember well because my wife was pregnant with our first kid at the time. So it was a fantastic experience.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. And that all worked out. Your kid's doing good?
Kid's doing great. Yeah. Just in the other room, turned 15 months old. Yeah, going strong.
Cool. Still happy about it? No regrets?
No regrets at all. No. It actually helps with time management, so it's great.
That's good. I'm just joking. Yeah, awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool.
So how's you're on your way from to Halifax from Glace Bay? How's that? I know the tour, the Eastern tour, just started. The leg of this tour, but
yes.
How'd that go?
It was great. I was in Glace Bay last night, and we're driving to Halifax now. And Halifax tonight, Charlottetown tomorrow, and yeah, it's great. I love touring in Canada. I love being out in the East Coast. I mean, we've got great fans out here, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm playing music at the shows too. It's kind of a Canadian themed stand-up and music tour where I'm playing some of my own music, but also some Canadian classics, and having a lot of fun with the audience with that. And big laughs. It's a good time. It's ridiculous.
Is it kind of built around that record you released last year, the country tunes?
Some of that, yeah. It's not entirely built around that record, but I mean, I do some of the songs off that record, but and a lot of other fun stuff with the music, and then it's a stand-up show too. So I'm, doing stand-up and pulling the guitar, and yeah, absolutely. I've been really enjoying, getting back into making music in the last few years, and I did record that country record, which I wrote, called Home to the Country, which has got a few Canadian covers on it. And we recorded that all at the Tragically Hip studio in Bath, Ontario. And, so great sounding record, and it's been fun playing music live. I've always loved music, so it's fun to be combining both of my.
Yeah, I should have asked you at the top here how much time you had, because I wanted to ask you about your experience recording at the Bathouse. I mean, it's kind of like a legendary recording studio, so I imagine the vibe there was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly a real honor to be able to go in and record there. It seems like a sacred, legendary place. The Hip recorded, and all the Tragically Hip's memorabilia from their tours, and their records and stuff on the wall, and they've got incredible world class gear, and a producer there that's just incredible. So it's great. And I live in Ontario now on a farm, and I'm able to drive down there and record there, and it's just awesome. And it's an awesome thing. So got some great musicians that I work with from out the country, kind of near my farm, and I write these songs, and then I go in there with a fiddle player and another guitarist, a drummer, a bass player, and we actually play the songs live off the floor, and cool. And it's a good time. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, live off the floor. So that kind of adds to the vibe for sure. That's a not well, some people still do it that way, but it's probably not a common approach. So that's cool.
Yeah, what's cool is the studio's really built for it. They got different rooms where everybody can be isolated but still playing live and seeing each other through glass and stuff. So like the the drummer and the bass player are off in one room, the fiddle player's in another room, and I'm in a room my own doing the vocals and playing guitar. So it's kind of a good way to keep things separate but still play live. It's pretty awesome.
Cool. Maybe thinking about your farm, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure lots of people know the story of you moving up to the farm, but there's probably lots of people who don't know as well. But I know when I see on your YouTube channel, it kind of gives me vibes of, we used to go to Fitzroy Harbor to visit our grandparents. So it kind of gives me those kind of rural vibes. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's definitely rural. You know, I have a mule and a donkey and 2 horses now and chickens. And my wife and I, are, looking after the chickens and these animals. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I got married this year.
Congrats.
Amazing Canadian girl, and it's awesome. So, I did a show about the first year on the farm that was on Prime Video called Tom Green Country, and we also did a documentary that I directed about the Tom Green show. But now I'm moving my show over to Crave. So in May, looks like May this spring, my new show, it's called The Tom Green Farm, is coming out, and it's a talk show that I do from the farm. And I'm having all sorts of comedians and musicians and celebrity guests and friends come by. And we're making a TV show at the farm. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. It's going to be the talk show format?
Well, it's like, I do some interviews in the barn and on various parts of the property. And then we go do stuff together, go ride horses or go fishing and all sorts of things. So, yeah. Exactly. It's kind of a on-location talk show. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. And so we love folks coming onto the property. So I guess that'll be pretty interesting to see bits of people maybe out of their elements. Are you going to be bringing in some big city guests who are going to be on the farm for the first time?
Yeah, we get some big city guests, and they're coming in for the big. It's cool. I like it when I have people from the U.S. come and they don't know much about rural Canada and. And, it's pretty neat to see, we haven't actually announced who the guests are yet, but we've got some pretty awesome people coming, and they come up and then, they sort of are, especially people who come from the southern U.S. and California and, they've, are used to the desert, and to come to a Canadian lake, when the leaves are changing in the fall, we had a really awesome, I'll tell you now, but don't tell anybody, okay? Tony Hawk came up, and nice. we built a half pipe on the property, so I've got a vert ramp on the property now, and I'm going to be skating. I'm breaking news here for you, by the way. Nobody knows about this yet, but your audience is the first to hear about this, but I haven't even been posting it on my social media, but I have a full vert ramp, and Tony Hawk came up and was, launched the ramp, and it's amazing. So it's a real fun show.
That sounds awesome. That's exciting, Tony Hawk. I mean, the re-release of his video games kind of came out recently, so I've been kind of diving into those in a nostalgic splurge. I'm sure you're familiar with those. Yeah.
And I was a skater my whole life, so I was always a huge fan of his since I was a kid, and we're about the same age. We've been friends for years, and he's super cool. Super cool.
That's awesome. What's it like when you're away from the farm now? I ask that because I imagine, you talk about your animals kind of like you obviously have a real relationship with them. So what's it like when you're away from the farm on the road?
I was just talking about this because, the animals have each other, right? So that's the one nice thing. That's why I kind of I got the 2 horses so that the mule and the donkey would have a little herd to be in, so, I do miss them, but honestly, I'm trying to tour less, so it is kind of, going to be more of a special thing when I go on tour in the next few years, because I'm not going to be touring as much. I'll probably tour once every couple of years now, and I'm doing a lot of filmmaking and producing this show and some movies and things like that I'm working on from the farm, and riding my animals and. My mule Fanny, I ride her all the time. I didn't know anything about riding mules until 3 years ago, and now I'm a pretty experienced rider. I go out into the wilderness and we go explore, and it's a lot of fun.
Is there quite a difference between riding a mule and riding a horse?
Not really. No, it's very similar. I mean, a mule is half horse, half donkey, right? So it's kind of like riding a horse. I mean, Fanny's a really good mule. I mean, they can be a bit more, they say stubborn, right? But it's not really that they're stubborn. They're just really intelligent. So they will kind of be a little bit more skeptical of what you're asking them to do if they don't trust you.
Okay.
But once you build a good trusting sort of bond with the animal, then it's actually better than riding a horse, because they're more sure-footed, and they don't spook as easily, and they're just kind of all around cool animal, you know.
Okay, I didn't know.
I mean, Fanny is a huge mule. She may be actually, as far as I've seen, as far as I've been told and haven't been proven wrong yet, she's the tallest rideable mule in Canada, actually. She's 16.3 hands, so she's much bigger than the horses. She's like half Percheron horse and half donkey, and she looks like a Percheron horse. If you were to look at her, you would think she was a Percheron horse, but her ears are a little bit bigger than a horse. So.
Okay. Now, when you say 16.3 hands, what does that mean?
Well, that's basically the way they measure horses. So it means she's a big horse.
Okay.
Like a normal horse, might be 15 hands or something like that, and that's just sort of the way they've always measured them. I mean, normal, right? If you look at her beside the horse, she's much, much bigger than the horses. So
big. Okay. And she's from Thunder Bay, is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Have you seen pictures of Fanny?
I watched the documentary. I watched the Prime.
Okay, yeah.
The Prime.
So you can, yes. Sometimes it's hard to tell on video how big things are, but she's really pretty awesome. Yeah, and she came down from Thunder Bay, and she's now in balmy southern Ontario.
So the climate change has been well to her. Has been nice for
her. She doesn't seem to be complaining about it. Can
I ask you? I'm sure it's in the documentary. I just don't remember, or in the series. But why Thunder? Why did you choose Thunder Bay to find your mule?
Oh, it was just honestly, it's just because it's just because I found a mule. Like, I mean, she popped up when I was looking for mules that were, available, and she happened to come on my radar, and she was the only real mule of its kind in Canada that was available. It was already kind of she was 11 years old when I got her. She was very well trained to ride. She's very comfortable around people. So she had a lot of good training. And, me having not been an experienced rider, I didn't want to get some green mule that, going to, maybe possibly injure me or something. So she's actually a really, really incredible mule. She sort of was raised by these two sisters who have a mule breeding sort of company that they're doing in Thunder Bay, where they are breeding mules, and it's not a huge operation, but they've bred mules over the years, and they're called the Twister Mule Company, and it's two sisters. It's a awesome thing, and Fanny grew up in Thunder Bay, going out to walking in the parades and everything. She's a celebrity up in Thunder Bay, Ontario. People know Fanny, so she's a pretty awesome animal, and I'm lucky to have her, and she's a big part of my life now, really. I spend every day with her, and I go out and I look after them myself. When I'm not touring, I don't have a farm hand. I look after the farm myself with my wife, and I go out and feed them and keep the barn clean, and do all the work that needs to be done, and I love it.
Yeah, cool.
Keeps me grounded.
I wanted to ask about how the farm work or farm life has affected the creative process, in the sense of, like, when you're busy in those farm tasks, does it let your mind kind of flow into a creative space where, like, ideas can connect, or like any
absolutely, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because I've always loved just being in nature, but then now being in nature and around animals, and then being around animals where you actually have something to do. Like, I really have to. It's a fair amount of work to keep them healthy and fed and happy, but it is kind of good exercise too. Like going out and throwing hay bales around, and shoveling manure and riding. It's probably healthier and in better shape than I've been in my life right now, just from doing all the work on the farm. And get your mind off of things when your mind is idle and you're not getting enough exercise, and you can find a lot more reasons to be stressed out, and it's easier to be stressed out. So it's really calming for me, and that's when a lot of good creative ideas come. And it's kind of led to me recording a lot more music. And I've always liked listening to all kinds of music, and country music and rock and hip hop and everything. I was in a rap group when I was a teenager. I always liked writing lyrics and playing guitar and stuff. But this sort of feels like when you're living on a farm and riding a mule and out in the wilderness, it sort of does inspire you to want to write some country songs. So when you're living in the country.
Yeah, makes sense. Do the animals, so it kind of sounds like, I mean, the animals have a time commitment. You can't just neglect them the same way, like I've learned with our new child. So, but do animals follow like a sun up, sundown schedule? Like, do you put them to bed and wake them up sort of thing? I'm kind of curious to know about that.
Well, mine are like outdoor animals, so they've got a big pasture that's fenced in, and they've got a barn that they can walk in and out of whenever they want to.
Okay.
So they're not, I don't put them in a stable at night or anything like that. They don't have stalls. They're out grazing at night and just kind of enjoying being outside. It's actually healthier for the animals. Even in the winter, they're just out. They can go in their barn whenever they want, but they just choose to stay out in the winter. And it's actually better for their respiratory system. They're not in a dusty barn. They're out and getting fresh air, just the way animals are supposed to live. And so really all you got to do is feed them, and in the summer they eat grass, so you don't even have to throw hay out to them in the summer. So it's just sort of probably 8 months of the year, 9 months of the year, you got to make sure they have some hay.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to still got to keep the pasture and the barn clean, manure stuff, so they aren't get parasites and hoof diseases and things like this in their feet. But you have a farrier that comes out maybe every 8 weeks, and we cut their hooves and their feet. We keep their hooves trimmed, and we get their annual shots and their deworming medication. But other than that, they're just happy to be out in the pasture with each other. If you went out and just fed them once a day or twice a day and threw some hay out to them, then they're fine, So it's not that much work.
Gotcha. Yeah, the hooves is interesting. I kind of went down a rabbit hole watching, I think it was the YouTube channel, The Hoof GP or something. Anyway, he would take care of hooves that were infected, and just kind of a whole world. I'd never spent any time thinking about. So. Yeah,
that's kind of what's fun about it is there's all these new experiences that have opened up, learning about it. And so every day you're kind of learning something new, and it kind of keeps life interesting, right? I lived in Los Angeles for 21 years, and, it was a lot of fun living there. But, after a while you start to kind of get into a routine, and I wanted to break the routine and do something new. And frankly, I wanted to be in Canada. I missed living in Canada. And, I've always been up in Canada throughout the years. When I lived in LA, my family's here, and I would always come home, and I had a place in Ottawa for a long time. And so I never fully left Canada, but I didn't need to spend, the remainder of my life in Los Angeles. I want to be home. And Canada is really such an amazing place. And, it's like, I noticed when I left Canada, the first few years in Los Angeles were so new and exciting, and everything seemed so amazing. Then after 20 years, whenever I come home to Canada, I realized, things that seemed so normal growing up in Canada all of a sudden seemed very exotic, like,
okay.
Green grass, when you live in the desert, and like maple trees and, lakes. Lakes there's no lakes in California. It's a desert, Going out in a canoe on a lake, was something that was just kind of, normal. And, frankly, kind of became kind of something that, I didn't do when I lived here. But now that I've moved back, I'm like, oh my God, I want to go canoeing. I want to go in the woods, and it's all new and fresh again. So I think sometimes people, with everything around us in Canada that we are so used to, we forget that it's really one of the most beautiful places in the world, and we're lucky to be here.
Yeah, what a great way to find a newfound appreciation for your home country and hometown.
Yeah, just go live in crazy Hollywood for 20 years.
That sounds like a pretty reachable task or a reachable goal for most folks. I kind of had a question about Hollywood a little bit, and like you mentioned, your parents who are kind of like they're kind of celebrities in their own right in terms of they show up in a lot of your material and they're good sports. Obviously, I imagine they were quite supportive. And is that true? They were supportive, I would imagine, right?
Oh yeah. They're always. My mom is actually a producer on my new television show.
No way. Okay.
So she's actually involved with the writing and production side of the show and the creative side of the show with me, and
that's cool.
She's always been very involved in that way. Now, when we did the Tom Green show back in the day, they were not aware that they were going to get pranked and all that stuff. So they weren't involved in that capacity back then. But now they are. So yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Did you notice in LA, maybe I don't know if this is a silly question or not, but in LA, or when you were interacting with people who were trying to break into the business, was there an approach that was different between folks who had a supportive family or a supportive parent who was telling them to pursue their dream versus someone who was kind of doing it against their parents' wishes or their family's advice? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really kind of I don't really have a accurate answer for that. I didn't really sort of like, I don't know what percentage of people from broken homes have been successful in Hollywood versus the opposite. It's hard to say. I mean, I know that like, I've seen some people who've had a completely different experience to me, whose parents were kind of different. My parents did not get sort of. They didn't really I don't think they were sort of completely mesmerized by the Hollywood side of things. Whereas I'm glad they weren't sort of, so amazed by, fame and show business that they kind of, got swept up in it all. They were sort of very, they were proud of me, and they came on Saturday Night Live with me when I was on SNL and we did a skit. But, I don't think they really, were that, amazed by it all that they started acting weird. They're still same as they've always been. So that was good. Yeah,
that's cool. Okay, cool, got it. And maybe another industry question, just to kind of fulfill my curiosity, is like back in the day, maybe you're pitching to like executives or hoping someone will sign off on your idea, but now do you find like most people are pitching to like the algorithm? Is that kind of like the new approach to breaking through?
I suppose so. I mean, yeah, there's so many new ways of breaking into the business now, with everybody having access to social media and TikTok and all the tools that we have to be creative now that weren't around when I was starting out,
Yep.
But then, of course, you're competing with so many more people who are trying to get into videography or filmmaking. And, I mean, it's like anything, though. Like if you put your mind to anything and really focus on it and work harder than anybody else at developing your craft, whether it's music or, being, a videographer or writing or whatever it happens to be. I mean, you can do anything you want. It's, most people don't really, even though everybody has access to social media, I mean, most people don't really dedicate themselves to it, in a way that would, separate them from the pack of people doing it. So, anything's possible these days. I think there's a lot more avenues to be able to get your ideas and your creativity out there now. And if you put your mind to it and work hard, you can do anything you want now more than ever before, which is amazing, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of leveled the playing field in terms of like, I don't know if gatekeeping is the right word, but just being able to throw your art or your creation out into the world. Yeah,
no, it's an awesome time. It's an amazing time. And then I have a podcast, which I'm going to be relaunching this year called the Tom Green Podcast. And, you can still listen to the other episodes that are up there. I'm going to be bringing it back from the farm, and got my new show on Crave, which is exciting. And it's sort of a, kind of a bit of a hybrid podcast television show as well. And, music, I've been putting out my music independently now. And so it's a great time to be touring, doing stand-up comedy and doing your thing,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I really appreciate you spending the time to talk to me today. Like I mentioned at the top of the chat, you'll be in St. John on the 28th, March 28th. So that's a Saturday, 7 p.m. at the Imperial. But you're also hitting Halifax on the 21st, Charlottetown on the 22nd, Moncton on the 24th, Fredericton on the 25th, and heading up to Miramichi on the 27th. So that's a pretty good string of East Coast dates.
Oh, yeah, bud. We're hitting all the hot spots.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good time. We're having a blast. It was super fun last night. And I just... it's fun getting up on stage and just having laughs every night with everybody, and we're having fun. Yeah.
And so the show's built, just to touch on the show just a little bit to wrap it up. So it's going to be built around the music and a setup, or a stand-up. Is it kind of weaved all together, or is there kind of like a line in the show where it switches?
I don't know. You're going to have to come to the show to see. I don't want to give it all away.
Can you give away your best punchlines? That's kind of what I'm asking for.
Yeah. You got to come to the show.
Yeah, grab tickets. So tickets are still available. It's going to be an awesome show. It was awesome last time, so it's guaranteed to be a great show. I'm really excited you're coming back. It's nice to see artists and comedians and musicians come to St. John, and the Imperial Theatre is just beautiful. So everyone listening, if you haven't snagged your tickets yet, absolutely grab them because it's going to be fantastic.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. And thanks a lot for coming on the show, Tom. I wish you the best of luck in your farming duties. And again, so May, that's when the show's coming out on Crave.
Yes. Yeah. It's not yet announced, but it'll be in May. Yep.
Not yet announced, so I won't tell anyone. And Tony Hawk has been on the show. Okay, great.
You can tell people. You can tell people. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Perfect. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Tom. I really appreciate your time today. That was fun.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No
Cheers.
problem.
I'll see you at the show. Come say hi after the show.
Okay, will do. Awesome.
Thank you, man.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye. Yeah, bye.